Okay, Shalom Aleichem and welcome. We are going to learn today a topic which is on everybody's mind because due to the circumstance that the health officials say that not to spread the virus, spread the virus. It is very important to be careful with the hygiene issues and wash your hands, not to allow any germs to pass from thing to thing. So one of the things that's on everybody's mind is, are you allowed to wash your hands on Shabbos using all the regular creams or oils or soaps that we use on a regular day to remove the germs? And especially in this time, we do as much as we could to do to remove all possible germs. So, is there any special halachas connected with this in Shabbos? So there are a few halachas in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. I'd like to start by reading it inside, and from there you might understand what problems may arise when you're dealing with a bara soap or you're dealing with a liquid soap, v'chulu v'chulu. The first one I'd like to start is Adin in Shulchan Aruch, Hilchas Shabbos, Siman Shin Chaf, Seif Tez Zayin. Over there it talks about the halachas of schita. Schita means squeezing juice from a fruit. And obviously that's a complex, complicated halacha. But towards the end of that siman, the Alter Rebbe in Sif Tazayin speaks about snow, sheleg, snow, and borod, and hail. So the Alter Rebbe, in today's days, there would also be pieces of ice cubes. And this is the halacha if you're allowed to melt ice cubes on Shabbos. So the Alter Rebbe says, hasheleg v'haborod, snow and hail, or anything like that, asur l'raisik oisim biyadayim. You're not allowed to crush them with your hands on Shabbos. What would that be? Tahainu l'shabram l'chatichos dakos. That would be to break them down into small pieces, kedei sheyezuvu meimeim, so the water will drip. You're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. Why? What is the problem of crushing ice, crushing snow? Says the Alter Rebbe, mishum shedoima lemalacha, because by doing so, it looks like you are doing a malacha. Nothing necessarily to do to schita, the malacha of schita. This is a different malacha that looks like you're doing. What are you doing? Sheboire mayim halalu. It looks like you created something new. You were moiled. You created something new. Until now, there was no ice water. There was ice. Voila! Now there is water. So this is the concept of being moiled, creating something new. That's the reason not to crush ice on Shabbos. Jump over to Siman Shin Chaf, Seif Yutes. Says the Alter Rebbe here, you're not allowed to crush ice because it makes water. Let me tell you another scenario. Tzarich lizar, you have to be very careful. Shelo yishafshev yodov b'melach. If your hands are dirty or your hands need some kind of, some people believe it's healthy for your hands, scrubbing your hands in salt, rubbing salt on your hands, you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. Why can't you rub salt in your hands on Shabbos? Mipnei shahamelach nimoyach al yodov, because when you crush it in your hand, it's going to dissolve. New things are going to happen here. Avol, however, if you really want salt on your hands, I'll give you a way how it could be done. Avol mutar lahashlich mayim b'melech. You're allowed to put water in the salt and then use that water to wash your hands, even though the melach nimlach shamei elav, even though the salt will melt in the water, as long as you don't rub the salt by scrubbing the salt, that's a problem. And the Alter Rebbe goes on, and also in winter time, you have to be careful not to crush the snow on the street, not to crush the hail, the ice. Okay? Further on in that sif, the Alter Rebbe says, V'yesh Oimrim, however, there is another opinion that says, Shekol shani muach eine be'ein levadoi, if there's a situation of what is getting crushed, you can't tell on its own. Incidentally, I'll tell you halacha that to take ice and let it melt, the water that melts on Shabbos is something new. You're not allowed to drink that water on Shabbos. But if you put ice in a Coke, a Diet Coke, and it melts in the Diet Coke, you could drink that Diet Coke. Why? Because you don't see where it melted to. So the Alter Rebbe is saying the same would be, since every time we have, if the nimoyach, if what's being melted, you cannot tell, it's misarev b'dover achar, then even if you crush it, wouldn't be a big deal. V'lachein mutar litel yodov, you're allowed to wash your hands and rub those hands in water that has snow, even though by scraping it in water that has snow, you're crushing the snow, because the snow is melting straight into water, and you're not able to see it. Says the Alter Rebbe, it's melting. Says the Alter Rebbe, mipnei shetam isur harisuk biadayim, there is a different reason why you're not allowed to crush things. Earlier, he said the reason for not crushing things is because you're creating it. It's nira ka'oisa shabayda mayim alalu. Now he says possibly there is a different reason for crushing things, and the different reason is just like squeezing liquid out of a fruit is not allowed to, especially the fruits that are made for liquid. You're not allowed to do that. That is the Isser of Schita. If you're not allowed to squeeze fruit for its juice, if we are going to let you crush other items, it's very similar to squeezing fruit. Mipnei, says the Alter Rebbe, Tam Isser Arisik Beyadayim, the reason why you're not allowed to crush items on Shabbos with your hand is a gzeira. If you do this, next time you will squeeze fruit for its liquid. Right? So therefore, kivan shu misarev b'davar acher, when the liquid gets mixed into something else, loy gazru, we're not worried about it, because it is not like anymore the schitas peres. When you squeeze a lemon, or you squeeze, when you squeeze a grape and juice comes out, you're not looking for the juice to fall in elsewhere. You're squeezing the grape because you want the juice. So in a case where you're crushing stuff and it's getting lost, it's not a problem. It's not comparable to schita. Why am I stressing this? Because now we see there are two different reasons why you cannot crush something on Shabbos, crush ice, or anything like that. One reason is moilid. You're creating something new. The second reason is because it's doima l'schitas peres. It will allow you, it's comparable to squeezing the fruit. But the Alter Rebbe concludes, yesh lahachmir kisvara rishona, that we should accept, like the first opinion, that no matter if it gets lost into other items, have an issue with the fact that it's moilid. It's not only daima l'schitas peres, it's moilid. It's something new here. Before it was a solid, now you turned it into pieces and it's a liquid. So therefore, that's something that cannot be done on Shabbos. So how does that apply here? That applies here because when you want to wash your hands, obviously, the Alter Rebbe was talking about salt. We're not using salt to wash our hands, but we are using bars of soap. We're using soap or liquid soap or bars of soap. So how would that apply here? So to use a bar of soap and to wash with it, and now from the bar becomes liquid, you're not allowed to. Because the Alter Rebbe just said there's a concept of moilid, and moilid is, there wasn't liquid soap before, it was a bar. The salt, when you rub on the bar of soap and turn it into a liquid soap, you created something new. V'doima l'malacha. How much liquid comes out when you rub on a bar of soap? Even though you're rubbing and very little liquid comes on it, nevertheless, I can't allow that little liquid, because this little liquid is why you're rubbing the bar. It means enough for you. The reason why you're rubbing the bar of soap is because you want that flavor, you want that liquid from the soap. If that's what you want, it's not like you're throwing it to the garbage. I have to be concerned of that liquid soap that's being brought off the bar, and that's why, according to the Alter Rebbe, a bar soap should not be used. There were other reasons. There were other reasons of telling us why bar soap should not, perhaps prohibiting why bar soap should not be allowed on Shabbos. And to understand that, I want to go back to a other halacha in Hilchos Shabbos, a halacha earlier, and that is in Siman Shin Beis, Seif Tes Vav, where the Alter Rebbe speaks about the Isser of Memachek. What is the Isser of Memachek? So the Alter Rebbe speaks about the original source of Memachek, and that is Memachek Esa'er, one who smoothens the hide of an animal. And that originally it was, you had skin of an animal. In the Mishkan it was, you had skin of an animal, and you smoothened the wool or the hair off the hide. And so then by smoothing it, now you have a clean hide. If anybody does that on Shabbos, Alter Rebbe, again in Siman Shin Beis Sif Tes Vav, says you are chayiv, and that is one of the avos melachos. Shekein hayu oisim b'mishkan. That's one. The definition of av malacha is something that's done in the Mishkan, and that was done in the Mishkan with the iris, with the hides of the animals that they used. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe brings different examples of taking something and smoothing it, would be a Isser of Memachek. As an extension of the Isser of Memachek, there is a Isser of Mimareach. Mimareach is not exactly smoothing a hide. Mimareach is taking something, a substance, such as wax or putty, and making it into shape, flattening it out. That would also be mimareach. In practical reasons, and a practical halacha, for kids to play or to play with Play-Doh on Shabbos, where you're taking something and flattening it out and smoothing it out, is an issue. You're not allowed to. Just like you're not allowed to be memachek. The of malacha is memachek, scraping the skin, the wool off the skin. Anything similar to that would be an extension, mimareach. So then that might be an extension to the of memachek. Let me just explain the Isser memachek originally. After tanning the hides, it had to be scraped to remove any hair. Scraping a surface to make it smooth is the malacha of memachek. The melacha of memachek is not limited to animal hides and similar items. Sanding blocks of wood, or scrubbing a pot with steel wool are also memachek. Even using bars of soap might be an issue of memachek. Memachek has the tulda I just mentioned, the tulda of memareach, which really memareach means smearing. This applies to a soft substance like wax, chalk, Vaseline, because if a person is memareach, if a person smears, one might not be able to use a variety of creams or ointments on Shabbos because you're smoothing it. And that's a question of an extension of memareach. Now, this is a long discussion in itself. But again, this is all if it's a hard bar of soap or a putty type of soap, something like that, you might see how it connects to mimareach or to memachek. When it's not that type of soap, when it is liquidy or gel, there shouldn't be such issue. However, the next issue that comes involved is the issue of sicha. Sicha is thick oils or gels. Would the isser of mimareach apply in thick oils and gels? So in this we have if it's a pourable gel or a thick gel. If it's a pourable gel, based on the Alter Rebbe and Siman Shin Yud Dalet Siv Chaf Aleph, its mashma is no problem. A pourable gel, you're not being mimareach. And if you're being mimareach on a soft surface, so this, because it's not compared to the case of the original malacha of memachek, it doesn't smoothen anything else. It goes into a situation where you don't see it anymore. Some say that it's mutter. So for example, in the case of a diaper rash, to take a diaper rash cream and to smear it on a place where the rash is, lechatchila, to smear it and smoothen it out because it's a cream is an issue. L'tzayrach gadol, if you really need it, the cream. So the suggested thing to do on Shabbos, instead of putting it on the place where the rash is, it would be better to put the cream on the diaper and then put the diaper on so it will get the spot. But to smoothen it or smear it on the place where where the rash is, because it's a gel type of thing, it's a problem. But the Eved, some say if it's really bothering, it's a chaylish she'ein by sakana. Just tab on it and not spread it. Spreading it would be an extension of sicha, which is memareach, which is memachek. How about liquid soap? Hold on, before I get to that, I must tell you that originally there was many other concerns that people had with soap. Originally, they thought that soap had an issue that if you used the bar soap, it would pull out skin. It was very rough. It was a very rough substance of soap. And originally they assered it because it would pull out certain types of bar soap. They actually uprooted the hair. By uprooting the hair, then you would be transgressing the issue of cutting, of shearing, and that would be usher for different problems. Some poskim, as mentioned before, say that the reason why you're not allowed to use bar soap because they compare it to crushing of ice. But that's if it's a bar soap. Now we're talking about the liquid soap or the gel soap where it's not uprooting any hair. It might be like mimareach when it's gel, when it's a putty. However, if it's a liquid soap, there definitely is nothing to worry about. Rav Moshe Feinstein, in his Shalos Shechuvas Igros Moshe, he writes that some people dilute their liquid soap before Shabbos, so it should be considerably watered down, and then they use the liquid soap, even though he himself says in his house he did not allow even liquid soap, even the diluted soap, because obviously you don't know where the borderline is of what's considered liquid and what's not considered liquid. So he said in his house he refrained from using it at all. A very interesting thing is a psak din from Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. Rabbi Ovadia Yosef says like this. In Shalos Tshuvas Yichava Das, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef permits use of bar soap. Why? He says like this. He says that since the Beis Yosef follows the Rishonim, follows the reason of most of the Rishonim, that the only reason you're not allowed to crush ice, as mentioned before, is because if you intend it for its liquid, it's because it's doimel eschita. By soap, nobody intends to have the liquid of the soap, and therefore he does not accept what the Alter Rebbe says the halacha is, like the first svara of moilid. He says it's not moilid's not the issue. The issue is schita. The issue is liquid. In this case, you can't compare liquid from a bar of soap to juice from a grape. And the second issue of mimareach, he says it's also not an issue, because the person scraping, using the bar of soap to clean his hands, has no intention of smoothing the soap. And he quotes a Magen Mishnah, which is a fascinating Magen Mishnah that's brought in Hilchas Shabbos, in the Rambam Hilchas Shabbos, Perek Yud Beis Halacha Beis, where the Magen Mishnah says every malacha depends totally on the kavanah of the person doing it. In this case, when the person is washing his hands with soap just to clean his hands, he has no intention of smoothing the soap in whatsoever way. And therefore, based on that, you don't even have to worry about it. However, his son in Yalkut Yosef says that in the later years, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef retracted, and also says that maybe some should stay away from the bar soap. But nevertheless, when it comes to liquid soap, nobody had a problem with liquid soap, because liquid soap is noiselin, it's liquid, and it doesn't have the problem of mimachek, it doesn't have the problem of sicha, etc., etc. One more item that comes up is what happens if you don't have liquid soap. All you have is either a gel soap or you have a bar. Now, if you're dealing with this issue before Shabbos, so big deal. Turn it into liquid, make it into liquid, dilute it. But you didn't prepare yourself before Shabbos, and you have this dilemma on Shabbos. So the question is, could you on Shabbos dilute gel soap, or could you? Another scenario would be, could you on Shabbos take a bar of soap and put it in water, so that the water sitting in the soap would become liquid soap? So most of the opinions say that one is allowed to dilute liquid soap on Shabbos if it wasn't done before Shabbos. However, other option is to put the soap on the hand and then running water on it with rubbing it. so it will dilute by itself. That's an option to be done. About the bar of soap, to put it in water on Shabbos, so to put it in hot water, or to put it in the hot water, obviously might be an extension to the isser of bishul. Believe it or not, bishul is not only when you're cooking food. Bishul is when you're dissolving anything, but also is an extension of the heat of bishul. But to put it in regular water, so the soap, the bar of soap should melt. If you need it for washing your hands, or you need it for washing the dishes, then most of the shita say that you're allowed to, and obviously it's better if you do it before Shabbos. One last issue that comes up with soap, which is a whole other ball game, and that is if this soap, whichever soap, has a scent, then you have another issue, because now you have the issue which is brought in Hilchos Yom Tov. In Hilchos Yom Tov, the Alter Rebbe discusses the halacha of moilid reyach, bringing upon yourself, creating a new smell. To be moilid reyach, the Alter Rebbe discusses this in Siman Tov Kuf Yud Aleph in Hilchos Yom Tov, Siv Zayin. Tov Kuf Yud Aleph, Siv Zayin. It's not Siv Zayin. Over there, the Alter Rebbe discusses about Moilid Reyach. One second. Tov Kuf Yud. And the Alter Rebbe says you're not allowed to be Moilid Reyach on Yom Tov or on Shabbos. If so, if you're just washing off your hand and you're just cleaning it, that's one thing. But if you want the smell, the scent from the soap, and the soap has a strong smell that you definitely want, if you don't care about the smell of the soap, you just want to clean your hand, then I don't care by the fact that it has a smell. But if you're definitely using this soap specifically because it has a smell that you want to have, that's something that you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, and not something you're allowed to do on Yom Tov. Unless your hand has a very bad smell, then you want to use the scented liquid to get rid of the smell. It's not enough just to wash it in water. But if your intention is specifically to benefit from the smell, then even liquid soap you're not allowed to use, not on Shabbos and not on Yom Tov.